In the 2000 election, John Ejiokum Kufuor was no longer eligible to run as president, having served 2 terms. It was during this term that the term Better Ghana Agenda was coined. Atta Mills' main opponent from the New Patriotic Party was now Nana Akufo-Addo.
One thing I want to leave with you. If by the grace of God we win in December, the one district, one factory policy means that a long run.
Mills ran under the campaign slogan of a better man for a better Ghana on a platform of change. The results of the first ballot had Akufo-Addo in front with 49.13% to Mills's 47.92%. However, a round of second round of voting was needed. The second round of voting took place on 28 December 2008. The results was a slim lead held by Mills, but due to problems with the distribution of ballots, the 10th constituency, located in the Bron Ahafo region, was forced to vote again on 2nd January 2009. The final results was a victory by Mills with 50.23% of the vote to Akufo-Addo's 49.77%. Mills became the 3rd president of the 4th Republic of Ghana. Self-described as a social democrat who believed in the concept of social welfare espoused by Kwame Nkrumah, Mills embraced a political platform that was more comprehensive and less divisive than that of either Nkrumah or Rawlings. John Atta Mills was sworn in as president on 7th January 2009 in a peaceful transition after Akufo-Addo was narrowly defeated.
I shall submit myself to the laws of the Republic of Ghana and suffer the penalty for it. So help me God.
I'm prepared, Madam Speaker, to pay royalties to the MPP for using moving forward. In other words, yes, it's so.
Under Mills, Ghana's stable economy experienced sustained reduced inflation, leading to the attainment of a single-digit inflation of about 8.4%, one of the lowest inflation rates Ghana had attained in 42 years, that is, the period between 1970 and 2012, as well as the lowest since June 1992, just before the start of the 4th Republic, from a high of 18.1% in December 2008. This is indicative of prudent fiscal, monetary, and other austerity policy measures that characterized his presidency to put the economy on a healthy shape. The Ghanaian currency, the cedi, also stabilized as a result of these policies. In 2011, Ghana was the fastest growing economy in the world at 20.15% for the first half of the year and 14.4% at the end of the financial year, according to the IMF and EconomicWatch.com. Moreover, Ghana's budget deficit was reduced to 2% of the gross domestic product during his tenure, compared to 14.5% of GDP in 2008, just before he was elected as the president of Ghana.
Our economy is resilient. Well, Madam Speaker, when you are pronouncing, Madam Speaker, when you you are pronouncing such figures in billions. And I want to remind you that I didn't even know how to translate them into OPPPP.
There was also a huge improvement in Ghana's gross international reserves and foreign direct investment, highlighting exceptional microeconomic performance. The Mills government also implemented the single spine salary structure, which increased compensation levels of all public sector workers. In a bid to improve the efficiency in revenue collection, Mills established the Ghana Revenue Authority, which integrated the value-added tax, customs and preventive service (SEPS) and the internal revenue services. Under his governance, Ghana met 3 out of the 4 primary convergence criteria for the proposed common currency, ECO, of the West African Monetary Zone. These accomplishments led to the renewed domestic and foreign investor confidence in Ghana's economy. During Mills' time in office, Ghana was adjudged the best place for doing business in West Africa and best West African performer in access to credit, according to the 2011 World Bank Doing Business Global Rankings. There was also an increase in the capitation grants. The government also introduced a program to provide free school uniforms to deprived communities while providing over 100,000 laptops or notebooks to school children to facilitate the learning process in a highly technological world. An initiative to provide free exercise books started under Mills. More than 23 million books were distributed. His government also expanded the school feeding program to include 230 more schools. Government paid the full tuition for all teachers pursuing further studies through distance learning. 2 specialized public universities were established during his tenure: the University of Health and Allied Sciences in the Volta region and the University of Energy and Natural Resources in the Bron-Ahafo region. His government also built several polyclinics to increase access to healthcare. The government also scaled up the National Ambulance Service to cover all districts in the nation. Increased collaboration between stakeholders led higher patronage of the National Health Insurance Scheme. Utilization of the scheme rose by 75%. True to his promise to reduce the number of ministerial appointees and run a lean government, the number of ministers was significantly reduced from 87 of the previous Kufuor's NPP government to 73, a reduction of 16% in the Mills-led government. It was projected that approximately $4 million was saved annually by this bold decision to run a small government. The hundreds of special assistants, presidential staffers, and spokespersons were also eliminated to improve fiscal efficiency. He commissioned a review of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana in a bid to improve upon the country's governance architecture. He held an annual media forum every year at the presidency to interact with journalists about social-political issues.
For you, sir, would you say that indeed it was an action year? What for you were the major achievements for the year 2011?
Clearly, the year 2011 was an action year. If you go around, as I did, to the various regions, to the various districts, to see what successes we have been able to chop. We turned so many schools and streets and mortar structures. We provided water to areas which are not seeing potable water.
In order to ensure intergenerational equity because of the finite nature of resource revenue, as well as financial security for future Ghanaian generations, the Mills government established in 2011 the Ghana Heritage Fund, a sovereign wealth fund generated from petroleum revenue accumulated from the country's oil and gas industry. Under Mills, the producer price of cocoa increased appreciably to $1,600 per ton of 16 bags, which was the highest in the sub-region and the highest that had ever been paid to cocoa farmers in Ghana's entire history. Cocoa production also hit a record-breaking of 1 million metric tons.
The country has been thrown into a state of shock following reports that the President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor John Evans Atta Mills, is dead. According to a press statement from the presidency signed by the Chief of Staff, Mr. John Henry Mate Newman, he died at the 37 Military Hospital in Accra, where he had gone for medical treatment.
Prof Mills died on 24 July 2012, 3 days after his 68th birthday. Though the cause of his death was not immediately released, he had been suffering from throat cancer and had recently been to the US for medical reasons. According to the BBC, his voice had degenerated in the previous few months.
I have just arrived from the US, where I undertook a regular medical checkup. Thank God, everything is okay. But let me explain something. It is my tradition to have regular medical checkup in Ghana. However, my doctors felt that for one or two reasons, which required more comprehension, we will go outside the country. Now, according to the Constitution, whenever I leave the country, I have to indicate. But thanks to each and every one of you, I would urge that we continue to pray for all those who decide to go for medical checkup or to go for review. I have a message. The report of the review tell me one thing, that past, the present, and the future. And therefore, I should drive from here to the castle to continue my work. Now, let me tell you this thing. We should all work together. We in NDC, we have a job to do. Let us make use of the facilities which have been given to us. Anyone, but they want you to ask. You want to one more pay. You want to one more pay this way or that way. But this has shown one thing. God is in control. May God be praised. Thank you.
His Vice President, John Dramani Mahama, was sworn in about 20 o'clock GMT on the same day. In accordance with Ghana's constitution, Mahama's tenure expired at the same time Mills's was due to end by the end of the year, just prior to an election. From 8th to 10th August, his body laid in state, and Ghanaian government officials, civil society, traditional leaders, the clergy, the general public, and dignitaries. After the funeral service, the president's body was taken on a military procession through some principal streets of the Ghanaian capital, Accra, and then for a burial in the newly created presidential mausoleum.
Bizim